A repository is a digital platform whereby we put in content for an institution. So it's basically the research output of an institution. Maybe the lecturers have done their research, we put it in the repository. The students, their thesis, we put them in the repository. So it's basically, we can say it is institutional based. It captures the research output of an institution.
So it is just all about scholarly output of a particular organization or a particular institution that has been preserved for dissemination or to be freely available globally. But when you look at the library is just a collection of material, and it can be either print material or electronic material that a library stores for reading and research. So when you look at the difference between these two, I think the umbrella is the library, whereby it stores all types of materials. And then the repository is a service within the library. We can have different types of repositories. We can have either regional repositories that capture scholarly materials within that region, like maybe, for example, East Africa. We can have a national repository that captures information or output, scholarly output of a nation. And we can also have an institutional repository that captures output, scholarly output of an institution.
That's the major difference. And the way we know the traditional libraries, maybe one has to visit it physically, whereas for a repository, it can be accessed from any corner of the world. At times we even get requests from out of the country, somebody asking, can you send me this article, because at times it happens that you may just have an abstract in the repository. So that tells you that the usage is very high.
Well, the repository has contributed greatly to the enhancement of our image in terms of sharing all the research output that is generated from the University of Nairobi. We are able, through the repository, to deposit all the research theses in terms of masters, PhDs, together with all the publications that are coming from researchers. And once it gets into the repository, then it can be shared with external members of the academic world in other universities. And not only that, it is visible to anybody who visits the repository.
As a researcher, I've really benefited a lot because it has given me and my colleagues much needed visibility. By this I mean, when we write academic papers, we want them to be read by people from all over the world. And before this e-repository, started or was open to us, it wasn't easy for our articles in academic journals to be read all over the world.
So we find that now it has enhanced the image not only of the university, but it's also enhancing the image of our researchers. Because once their research is available, then you find people are contacting those particular researchers and asking for collaborations, or they want maybe a copy of the publication for themselves to read. And in this way now it is enhancing collaborations, and I think that is why we are doing research. We should share it and make our knowledge known to others.
It's as recently as yesterday, a colleague of mine whose paper was actually seen recently by somebody she met at a conference in Ethiopia. This person from Ethiopia wrote to her yesterday, I think, or the day before, and said, could you send me your paper, although I can see it on Google, but I need you to send it to me. But he contacted her because he had seen it.
So I think the repository is a good thing because it's like a window to the external world. They can see what we are doing at the university. It has also increased the research culture. Now people are aware that if your research appears in the repository, then you're likely to attract a lot of attention, and therefore the lecturers are very enthusiastic about having their work. Previously they thought there was some sinister motive. When we asked them to put their work in the repository, they thought that maybe we're trying to, interfere with their promotion, but now they are sharing it openly, even the students.
The papers which were published in our journal, for instance, have been uploaded by this department, by this open access department, and now they are available in PDF format on Google. So really, as a researcher, I wouldn't have hoped for better than this for my papers or for anybody's paper which was published in this journal to be available online. And that the university now has started actually monitoring how often our publications have been cited by Google scholars. So this is really a good avenue for our papers to be seen by others, and hopefully in a couple of years' time, even the papers which we published in this local journal will have been read by people from all over the world, and I think that's once again increase our visibility because we hope for more people to quote from our papers and for those citations to be recorded on Google Scholar.
And so we've been working very hard to increase what we have there, and now we are standing at just close to 78,000 items in there.
And therefore, we find that now people are coming to us. In fact, we have received awards for the way we have been able to populate our repository. It's now ranked, this year it was ranked number 6, last year it was number 7, and we are hoping that this year we are going to go up to maybe number 3 if we continue populating it, and even not only with our research publications, but even the history of the university, the history of Kenya. It's an archive, and our library is the biggest university, it's the biggest library within all the public and private universities. So we have an opportunity to share with other institutions.
University of Nairobi was the first to take up that idea and they made it a reality. So the institution repository, as it were, in the university is important in the sense that apart from developing that institution, the institution repository, the university has become a mentor to the other institutions. And so our staff are engaged continuously in ensuring that other institutions are picking up the idea, and so they are going out there to help other institutions establish institution repositories, and this has even made us begin to give short courses within the library of University of Nairobi to be able to train other institutions on how they can establish institution repositories.
So it has been really, and it has really given a huge impact to the image of the university and also the image of the staff. And of course this is really important because it gives a kind of a satisfaction to the staff who are working in the repository, and also to feel that we are shining there globally. So it has really given us a huge milestone in terms of our global and regional impact.
University of Nairobi library staff have been working very hard to ensure that they collect and capture the information that is coming out from our researchers, our lecturers, and other sources, including even going to the media houses to bring the historical part of the university as an institution. So our repository is rich in the sense that we are not only having the research output in it, we are preserving the information that has that rich history of the university. From that time, it was a Royal College and up to what we have today.
We have been organizing for trainings and workshops to try to sensitize people about open access concept, which is supported through the repositories, which is one way of supporting open access. The repositories play a great role in trying to support the concept. Again, we have managed to get groups of students through their associations to reach out to the other students, and we have seen it working very well, because when they get it from their peers, it sinks in their minds better than even when they are told from other quarters.
It has been quite useful because one, it has saved me on time. I would otherwise spend looking for information in the shelves and books. I've also found quality work that have been done by other authors, and it has also been useful in giving me topical issues at a glance.
Although we cannot complain much because we have come from far as a country, as a continent, but at times you find that when you want to upload content into the repository, the internet is slow. So that way it slows you down, and at times you are not able to upload the documents. The other thing, or the other challenge which we have currently, is trying to digitize retrospective materials, because this concept of the repository, it is not very old, it just came the other day. So we still have the print format, which we are trying to digitize so that it can be uploaded in the repository. For instance, we have so many theses which are in print format, and that's why I was saying we are now in the process of acquiring the modern scanners, the automatic scanners, the ones which would scan documents very fast and would, what I would say, it's less manual.
The university has put in place a training on using plagiarism tools and the software that one can use. You can either use the open source software, which you can download directly from your PC, or then you can use, you can procure licenses, for example, the Turnitin program. This is the one now that we are using, and we've been able to acquire about 100 licenses through a collaboration between the Population Studies Research Institute and the Carter Consortium. Now what the library is doing is that they are training staff on how to use the Turnitin software to detect plagiarism. And once they have trained all the personnel in the various libraries, it will then be cascaded to at college level, where they'll be calling in staff and training them on how to detect students' work, whether the students have plagiarized. And therefore all students will be required to be submitting their continuous assessment and their term papers in soft copies. And this way it is very easy now to detect plagiarized material. And the good thing about having a digital repository where we put all the research, it will also prevent other university students from plagiarizing. If they do plagiarize, this can be detected. A case in point is we had the student who was admitted with a fake undergraduate degree certificate. He went to the School of Business, he did the master's program, and then he did his coursework, but when it came to his project, he plagiarized. He picked somebody's PhD thesis, somebody who is based in the UK. He changed the title, put his own title, but put his name. Now this was put in the repository as is required by the university. And it was picked by this gentleman in the UK. And he was able to write now to the university, indicating his displeasure that his PhD thesis had been plagiarized. And he was telling us that he's going to take appropriate action. He was going to take us to court because his intellectual property had been violated. And therefore we had quickly to put together a small committee of the Board of Postgraduate Studies to investigate this claim. And that is where now, in liaison with the library, we were able to detect that the student had actually plagiarized the entire thesis. Therefore it was 100%. Now this led to the withdrawal of the entire thesis and also the recalling of that certificate. So that student is no longer an MBA holder. So we have a plagiarism policy, and at the back of that policy it gives the penalties depending on the extent to which a student has plagiarized somebody else's work. And we are hoping that this culture of academic dishonesty, because that's what plagiarism is all about, will be minimized. Because this is a culture which has been developing. I think it comes right from undergraduate into postgraduate. People just want to get degrees without really working for them. And we have these kiosks around the university where they can actually write for you a proposal, they can write for you a thesis, and they generally plagiarize from one place to another. And I think even the Commission for University Education is very concerned, and they were even proposing to have a central repository where all public and private universities put their theses, either master's or PhD, so as to deter other students from plagiarizing. We'll be able to be detecting if anybody plagiarizes. So it's good to have a repository. It promotes academic honesty.
The repository, I see it growing, and I see it being a very popular resource of the researchers, both from the university, the whole country, and internationally, because we are receiving queries even as far as other countries outside Africa. And I think with that, and with the technology developments, I think that our repository is here, and it is here to stay.